This is a quick video to review how to work with fractions. And the reason I'm doing this is because, let's say you had x to the 1/4 power times x to the 3/4 power, and you wanted to multiply. Remember, when you multiply, you add the exponents. So x to the 1/4 plus 3/4, you get 4/4, and then you simplify. You get x. So you do numerator plus numerator, and you keep the denominators the same. But what happens if the denominators are different? Like you had 3/5 and 1/2. Well, you same rule, you add them. 3/5 plus 1/2. Now remember how to find a common denominator, which in this case is 10. And then you get 6/10 plus 5/10, because you multiply this one by 2 and this one by 5. And then you do 6 plus 5 is 11 to get x to the 11/10. So remember, when you multiply exponents, you have to add the powers. Doesn't matter if they're fractions or whole numbers. And you got to remember how to add the exponents. So okay, you need a common denominator when you add, and practice with them. And remember from the last video, you have x to the 11/10, it's just a 10th root of x to the 11th. What happens if you are dividing? You have x to the 5/3 over x to the 2/3. The denominator is the same, just subtract 5/3 minus 2/3, which would be 3/3 or 1. Let's do one with the denominators are not the same. X to the 2/3. Sorry, x to the 1/2. Oops, x to the 1/2 over x to the 2/3. Subtract the exponents. 1/2 minus 2/3. Get a common denominator. 3, 6. Right. Minus 4, 6. 3, 6 minus 4, 6 is negative 2, 6. Simplify the fraction, negative 1/3. And remember to write it as 1 over x to the 1/3, or 1 over the 3rd root of x. Remember, same thing with subtraction. Need a common denominator, and then simplify. One thing, let's say you had a whole number, and you are multiplying. X to the 5th times x to the 2/3. The same thing as x to the 5 and 2/3. Because when you add exponents, it becomes a mixed number. And we never leave it as a mixed number. Always want to change it to a fraction, an improper fraction. So 3 times 5 is 15 plus 2 is 17. So this is the mixed number form. This is the improper fraction, and we prefer the improper fraction. One example using power to a power, then one crazy example to wrap everything up. Okay, so go power to a power, you multiply. And so x to the 4 to the 2/3. That ends up being x to the 8/3. Just do 4 times 2/3. Remember, it's numerator times numerator. After the inside, 1, as there was 5/6, raised to the 2/3 power. Actually, make it the make it the 5/3 power. Multiply, so you get x to the 25th over 18. And when you multiply fractions, it's numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. And let's wrap everything into one beautiful problem. So if you had x to the 1 to the 2/3 power over x to the 3rd power times x to the 1/5 power, and let's make this denominator squared. So you first simplify the denominator, x and 3/1/5, or x and 16/5. And then you square that. That's x to the 32 over 5. And anywhere you have x to the 2/3. Remember that you subtract exponents. 2/3 minus 32 over 5. Get a common denominator, 15. 10/15 minus 32 times 3. 2 times 3 is 6. 3 times 3, 9. So it's 10/15 minus 96/15. Subtract 10, take away 96. Is negative 86/15. Negative exponent, you write it as 1 over x 86 over 15 as your power. So this is the same thing as that. Okay, I know this doesn't look ugly. We'll practice this more in class, and I'll do more videos on this topic just to practice. This is Mr. Spy, signing off.